Hi guys, this is Arne Joubert from TechConnect and welcome to episode 3 of Tales from the Towers. My co-host with me is Nico Joubert, joining us from a nice and cold Komatipoort. It's been freezing for us. We had to scratch out um, like jerseys and jackets and stuff that we didn't own. It's been like 12 or 13, 14
No.
degrees today at night. It was cold. So I don't know how you're experiencing this weather,
Oh,
Niku.
supermarkets have got heaters on sale in Komatipoort. So,
Can you believe it? Oh, no,
yeah.
it's crazy. We're not used to this. It's been staying in Joburg. So if you want to date this back, remember this date, 12th of July, 2023. It's freezing in South Africa. But yeah, guys have been building snowmen and stuff. So that must have been fun for the kids.
Yeah, well, I
I
remember
think
building one
I'll.
when I was 13.
How much?
I was 13 when we built a snowman in Ermelo area. So, yeah, that's what, 17 years? No, 27 years ago.
You know what the difference is between a snowman and a snow woman?
Yeah, where you put the carrot.
Snowballs.
Okay.
One of the dad jokes. Okay, so I like starting off the podcast with a little story. Back in the days when I was doing IT support for our clients in Fetcher, which by some weird twist of fate became Investec later, we had about 7 to 8,000 clients that we were supporting. And we didn't have internet in those days, so nothing like TeamViewer or AnyDesk, which helps us out a lot today. And I had a specific client who was battling with a password, logging onto the domain, and I went through various iterations of the word. First of all, password, and that didn't work. And then I tried fetch sure, and that didn't work. And then I tried dog because I couldn't think that you would misspell dog. That didn't work. And then the last final attempt was God because honestly, she can't misspell that. And still, she couldn't get in. So I had to drive all the way from Braamfontein to Sandton and type her password in. And it still didn't work when I tried. And I opened a notepad and typed in fetch sure and password and dog. And by a strange coincidence, the letter on a keyboard that didn't work was the letter D. So all those passwords didn't work because the keyboard was faulty. So a nice day trip, a whole day to get a password issue sorted out. We're lucky these days that we have remote support that we can actually log on to computers and sort issues out remotely, but yeah, not fun.
Well,
You have any stories?
your issue with not being able to do the remote support. So I think it was in the first month or two that we started the business. One of our farm clients, the lady phones in and said, "No, there's a ghost on a laptop." And when she's
I
typing,
remember, yes. Yeah.
when
We
she's
won't mention
typing,
names, yeah.
yeah. So when she's typing, there's a whole lot of other digits in between. And I actually remote supported in. I think it was TeamViewer or AnyDesk at that stage, and I'm typing, and as I'm typing, nothing happens. But when she types, I can actually see the extra digits on the screen. So I'm like, we just signed the client and trying our best, obviously, as always. But is that extra support? Now I'm in the car. I'm on my way. 10 minutes. We got this SLA, and drove out. Got there, and the lady got a. She's got a laptop, and they bought a wireless keyboard and mouse from us. So she's got the keyboard in front of the laptop, but then she's got a big file with all the paperwork, the data that she's capturing is on top of the laptop's keyboard. And as she's typing, she's touching the file, and the file is pressing buttons on the laptop. So yeah, no, there was a ghost, but it was a file ghost. So
My word. What about the one with the close all windows? What happened
oh,
there?
my first IT job. So I was working in the same business as my cousin, and but for the first month or so, I was just driving around and just shadowing him, listening to the calls as he's taking remote support phone
Mm,
calls, and just learning not to. We didn't have GPSs, so I had a thick
mm,
road map, and obviously learning the streets of Joburg.
mm.
And my first day in my own bakkie driving around doing support, and I'm got a business phone, so if it rings, I have to do support. And my very, very first call was a lady in Baragwanath, and she phones and says, "No, the system's completely down." And obviously, your first call, so you've got all this information about how the system works, and you're thinking it's the worst. So if you tried this, if you tried X, Y, Z, clicking this side, closing that, and no, nothing's working. And as rule number one in all IT, have you rebooted? So yeah, just close all the windows of the application. But my words were, please close all the windows. And the lady's not on the other side of the call anymore. And I just hear the 2 or 3 windows in the office, ka-tonk, 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 as she closes the windows. I'm like, no, you're misunderstanding. Close the icon. So yeah, no.
That's crazy. Yeah, no. Well, I think we've got a whole plethora of these examples of things that happened. The worst is when you have to drive through, spend an hour on the roads, and you get there and something stupid like the power is plugged out or something like that. Yeah, but we're not going to mention names. These things happen.
You know what we can do is we can actually have a one show where we invite Sandros and Matt to tell us some of the horror stories that they've seen at clients. There's a few where we should actually ask clients to video call us and just check the cable work. Maybe that'll help. Maybe it's
that's a good idea.
Earth leakage, but there's power, but just not for that string.
I think clients often think we're rude, but you have to be like a combination between a psychologist, a pastor, clairvoyant, and you have to be really, really patient.
How many times have you been a shoulder to cry on for our clients?
Many.
Yeah, we've had a lady walk into the office, and basically there's an issue on a laptop, but it's so small and minute. And at the end of the day, she was in there for an hour and a half, talking your ears off, the struggles, the business and stuff. And
that's sorry for.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it was basically a shoulder to cry on, just somebody to listen.
Well, the old uncle that came in that approved all the transactions on his phone that went through his bank account, and he thought it was all legit, and 40,000 rand later, his whole pension gone.
Yeah.
You
guys got most of it back, didn't you?
Yeah, we got it back, but remember, it happened twice.
Yeah.
It happened twice. So, and we really told him, and I think what happened later was his son started taking over all his banking transactions because, he didn't understand the technology. And
that's crazy because even with like Wellbone that we've got in, that would not have helped.
That would have stopped it. 100%. That would have stopped it. But Vodacom. Yeah. No, that was really, really bad. Suffice to say, I chatted to him the other day and he's fine. He's living in a nice retirement village and he's surrounded by people that love him and sees his family on a weekly basis. So he's very happy. But he's doing well. So let's move on a bit. What about what a week for the Springboks and for Drikus? What happened there? What do you think?
Yeah, South Africa as a whole. One thing about staying in South Africa and growing up in South Africa, I think we most likely one of the most sport-oriented, sport-crazy countries in the world. I know you're Americans and whatever, they've got so many sports to look at, but I think for us that what makes it better. We've got rugby where we are perennial champions, or always at least in the mix. We're not going to talk about the Proteas though. And then all of a sudden, I've never been a UFC fan. The Conor McGregors and the big names. But thanks to you and Fricky this last little while, I've been actually noticing. And well done, Drikus. I mean, I think that's news everywhere. And without harping on just how good and how great he is, I think he was so humble and humility that he put forward after beating an ex-champion. And I mean, Whittaker hasn't lost a fight in 9 years, and the one fight he lost was against the current champion. And
Future Hall of Famer.
yeah, and what's great is the way, and I think that's why a lot of people love us South Africans, because even in victory, you could gloat and you could be all on top of the world. And I mean, emotion runs through when you win a big match and you prepped hard for it.
Yeah.
But in that moment, with millions of people watching, and you know you're on television, to be able to stand there and say, listen, this is the greatest day of my life. I just beat somebody that I idolized. I had this poster on my wall. I mean, kudos. That's like amazing. And what a way to put South Africans on the map in terms of, this is a South African. This is the way we handle life. This is the way we handle our challenges.
I love what he said when he shouted, "Julle weet nie wat ons weet nie. You guys don't know what we know."
We don't know what we know. And I think that's maybe what he meant, is that, listen, do not push us in a corner. Do not, what's the right words here? Don't challenge us, because we are going to rise to the challenge. And I mean, you could see that in the Springboks' faces when they were singing national anthem on Saturday. You could see in their eyes, these guys were up for this.
What's that about the South Africans, though? I mean, it's like a certain type of grit and determination. Is it in our genes? It's because we're people of the land. It must be.
You know what? I've spoken to a lot of people about this, especially in sport. But we got how many big international businessmen, and business and sport runs hand in hand. I think really it's the way we were, and all cultures. The way we grew up in South Africa, we have not had it sunny side up.
Easy, yeah.
There's always something, some other challenge, some other issue, and sport brings that together. But we fighters. I mean, in the Afrikaans culture, you had the voortrekkers. I mean, they didn't have it easy, and Shaka Zulu. I mean, those guys had to fight for their land, to where they stay and whatever. So, I mean, concentration camps, and I think all of that, as we've had this conversation, where if you take the concentration camps, those made strong women, and the strong women raised strong children, and the strong children became strong businessmen and strong sports stars and strong people. And that's in our DNA. That's where we come from. And then I think that spills through into business, that spills through into what we said in the first episode and what you said in the second episode about consistency. I mean, about controlling the controllables, about handling what you can and doing the best that you can. I saw something like half an hour ago where they say a positive attitude can't change your situation, but it can change you to handle and fix the situation. And I think that's
if I just look at our staff, we call our staff the Clydesdales, and that's something.
Tell the Clydesdale story.
Yeah, look, it's a long story. They can go listen to the Andy's podcast, but basically Clydesdales are huge horses that used to pull the big machinery out of ditches and things. And look, we've got huge horses in our business. The Sandroses and the Matts and the Davids and the Tanikus and these guys, they are Clydesdales. And I hope we really look after them like we should, because if you want heavy lifters, there's no way, nobody in South Africa is going to stick by those oaks when it comes to climbing onto tin roofs that at 50 degrees sun baking down on them and digging holes for new towers, and just also their fine skills like their welding and their grinding and the building, and there's nothing that they cannot do. You give them something to figure out, and they'll use like I always said, a creepy crawly pipe and a glue gun and a piece of wire and a string, and you've got a new tower built. And that's how these guys operate. And honestly, I'm so proud of my Clydesdales. And it's just that grit. It's that South African grit.
Nothing's too much.
Get through everything.
Nothing is ever too much.
Mm. No, no, it's amazing. Another example, I have to speak to the coach of the Mpumalanga Small Schools champ. Well done.
Yeah, no, thank you, thank you. Uh,
Those kids are amazing.
oh, we see that basically everything we've spoken about the Drikus and the Springboks, I can bring that down to my 12 and 13-year-olds that are playing in my rugby team that I coach with a
Mm.
very good friend of mine, Hannes Elof. I'll tag him and listen to his music, guys, please.
Yeah,
But
listen
yeah,
to Arne Joubert, guys. Brilliant, brilliant musician.
but yeah, we beat everybody, and we ended up as the small school champions of Mpumalanga. Uh, I
How
think
big
we
is the
in.
school?
Uh, I think we've got just over 200 boys.
How
Um,
many how many boys were in the team?
we we left to Middleburg for the semi-final and finals with 18 boys.
So
I did
that's
not have,
15 players and three
and
reserves.
three,
And
three, three
and who
reserves.
did the boys play against to practice?
No, there's a shadow.
Yeah,
I
all the
must say,
coaches.
yeah, I've got some bumps and bruises. But I must say, I think that's also what's making the kids very tough is for a bit of just shadow and game plan. We do sometimes practice against the under 11s. So there's some 10 and 11-year-old boys helping out the 12 and 13-year-olds. But that obviously helps the youngsters a bit more than it does us. But at
Mm,
least there's a body and some space. So
mm.
no, but that was impressive. I mean, the kids left everything on the field.
The passion that they showed, that's amazing. And
It's the
I
first.
just quickly want to mention that these boys are so, it's obviously you and Hannes that instilled the discipline in them, but they're so polite. When you go to greet them, when you go to say hello, there's 18 boys standing in a row. And do you know what I always don't look up to? Is those handshakes. Man, those
Yeah,
boys
no.
are strong.
You know what? There's this joke going around in town from the wrestling club side is that there's something special in the water here. Um, I actually want to take it further. I think it's the fact that our kids are still playing outside, still climbing
Mm,
trees, still being active.
mm,
Luckily, we're in an environment where kids can still grow up like that, like we
mm,
did.
mm-hmm.
Um, and
Ride the bicycles, yeah.
exactly, go fishing on their own.
Mm.
Yeah, no, it's they
And the wrestling plays a role, I think, personally.
yeah, no, that's our wrestling club's
Kudos
one
to
of the top
Bastian.
club. Yeah, our wrestling club is one of the better clubs in the province, and constantly sending kids to essays and
Mm,
competing nationally for
mm,
national colors. So, man,
mm.
that's all. A wrestler makes a good rugby player. Makes
Yeah,
them easy to
100%.
coach.
And that's where the hand grip comes from. Man, they're strong.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely.
Yeah, I just think that, yeah, my point is life is not easy. And what's the saying? Difficult times make hard men, and hard men make hard children,
Mm.
And I just think that the kids that and the life that we offer them, they're actually experiencing the difficulty in South Africa, and the it's tough. I think it's tougher. It's tougher
Yeah,
out here, and it's more physical. They are more physical, 100%.
yeah. But I would not change that for anything.
Yes,
If
no,
I
I
had
agree.
to, we had the talking about that. We had the conversation a little while ago of would I want my kids to go to university and study? And I think this is a. I'm going to throw that to you first, as being
Okay,
the wiser.
now I've got a lot of ideas about this. Mine are not. I'm not sending them. Um, They will go overseas for a year, one way ticket. Tumi already has her plans where she wants to go. She wants to go au pair. Tabu has no idea, but we'll see. I think if they come back and they made up their mind because they're too young, they do not know. They need to get exposed to whatever's out there. And if Timmy wants to become a doctor and her marks are good enough, I know her marks are good enough, then she'll go study. If Tabu wants to become an engineer, go study. But even in my business, I've got two people studying to become a teacher. And I actually had a long conversation. They've been busy for 5 years trying to be a teacher. Do you know how many unemployed teachers are in South Africa? Um, and the salaries aren't that great either. The first thing I'm going to teach my kids is sales, is how to sell. I think that's a very, very valuable skill. And lots of people hate sales because they think you're trying to hustle or bluff your way through. But that means you do not believe in your product.
Yeah.
Sell something that you believe in, and then you're doing a service to the community. So I don't know, what's your ideas? I think Brian he's the engineer type.
Yeah, engineer, but then also Brian's got two things going for him at this stage. Is he wants to play rugby and he wants to make money, and it's school holiday now, and I think he's on business number 3. None of them are
Okay.
making money yet, but he's got his online businesses running and his side
Mm-hmm.
hustles going. So
Excellent. That's excellent.
he'll be an entrepreneur and making money if he plays rugby or not, and then if he decides to study, he'll still have the side hustles and stuff going.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's one thing that he's got going. Dwayne most likely will be a chef or yeah, he's very young at this stage.
Mm.
It's chef is one of his passions, making food.
Mm.
So yeah, obviously for that he doesn't have to go and study. You can go to
Mm.
culinary schools and stuff like that, most likely.
Mm.
But tertiary educations for me is you become an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer,
Architect.
pharmacist, architect. Yeah, but
Mm.
anything else, I'm with you on sales. Sales is more. Even if you want to be an engineer, do a sales course. If you want to be a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
do a sales course.
It's
The
like doing
sales
a computer
course,
course. It's
yeah,
compulsory.
yeah, but do a sales
Mm.
course
Mm.
because sales is where you learn to interact with people, learn to read body languages, learn to look and listen for people's emotions. Um,
Mm.
there's a time to sell and a time to just listen.
Mm.
And most of the time, if you just listen, the product's going to sell itself.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is where Andy and Alex, they had a podcast the other day. If you guys don't know Andy Frizella and Alex Hormozy, please go and
Oh,
subscribe to their
yes.
podcast. It's brilliant. And Alex actually told Andy he had a switch in his because he was a transactional salesman.
Yeah.
The more numbers you push, the better your sales are going to be. And what he noticed was he had like a linear growth for X amount of calls he made X amount of clients. And then he chatted to Andy, and Andy said, "You're approaching this wrong. Switch your thinking and make everything about your client. Your client is king. Your client's not always right, but they're royalty. And just focus on what your passion is with your client." So Andy said he loved the stories of his clients coming in overweight and 6 months later coming back and saying, "Look at all the weight I lost. I'm off my diabetes medication. I'm fit. I'm looking good. And thank you so much." And Andy just stopped doing transactional sales, stopped doing, he's still doing his channels like the Facebook ads and the Instagrams and things like that, but he's focusing on the clients. And Alex said when he changed that, his frame of mind, the product started selling itself. And what was really nice, instead of being linear now, it became exponential like that, because one client referred another, those two referred 4, and those 4 referred 8, and it just grew exponentially. And I think at the core of that is if you do not have a proper product or service, if your product or service isn't the best, that's not going to happen. You need something that you'll sell with conviction. That's important.
If we look at the way we structured our business, and especially in the beginning, before we had all these nice tips and plans, and we had to listen to Andy and Alex, one of the things that we did from the beginning was instill the way what you said, the client's always right, but the product. I mean, if what we're selling is not working, there's that stat that if you piss off one client,
Mm-hmm.
they'll talk to 9 people about how
Mm-hmm.
shitty your the
Mm-hmm.
service has been. But if you make one happy client, only talks to 2 people.
Yeah.
So that's the difficult part, because your product has to be rock solid, your offering has to be rock solid, and that 2 talks to 2 talks to 2, and that's where your exponential
Mm-hmm.
growth goes. But
Especially
dropping
with social media, word of mouth explodes on social media. So if you do have a bad product, it's going to blow up in your face.
that's even worse. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now those 9 people that you tagged, 90 people see that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's where you get that exponential growth again with
Mm-hmm.
the happy client and giving. That's where in the old days, just talking, it would talk to 2 people, and those 2 people maybe talk to 1. Now with
Mm-hmm.
social media and stuff, you have a happy client. He speaks to 2. He tags those 2. Those 2's got
Mm-hmm.
200 followers or 200 friends, and they see
Mm-hmm.
it. And then so it does snowball the other way around as well, just
Mm-hmm.
not as fast. Bad news
Yeah,
travels way
and
faster
that's why
than
I'm so afraid. If I see young entrepreneurs these days starting to advertise their product on social media immediately without working on the product and getting the product the best thing that it can be, they just advertising a shitty product.
yeah.
You know, get your
Yeah,
product right.
yeah. Well, that's something you told Brian yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that the background of your online business and the drop shipping and the is the transaction going to go
The
through?
support, customer support,
Yeah, all of that. Have you ticked all the boxes before you start selling? Because now you want
mm.
to push the sales, you want to do the marketing, and then the
TikToks.
payment the payment gateway doesn't work, or
Mm-hmm.
you don't have an email address set up correctly to handle queries or returns.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, so get all the stuff ready before you sell.
Mm-hmm. Andy Frisella said that when he developed his first supplements shake, it took him 19 months. Yet he wanted everything perfect and everything right. And he said he could have done it in 3, but there was always something. It was something small, like it was lumpy. It didn't dissolve properly. The taste just wasn't perfect. It had too much sugar. It had too much this, too much that. And it took him 19 months. After he released it, that's when they exploded. That's when the company exploded.
Yeah.
First form exploded. And because he had an excellent product, and the word of mouth just ran ahead of the product.
Mhm.
And it's expensive. It's almost double the price of anything else on the market. And Andy says, I don't mind being the most expensive, but you don't tell me I've got a shitty product.
Yeah. Oh, if you look at that, that's where we've from day one tried to place ourselves in the market. That listen, we're not going to be cheap and dirty, and we just supply internet. We really go for the whole shebang, where
Mm,
it's an all inclusive package.
mm,
Just off the bat, I don't want to bore everybody with rand and cent, but I mean it's close to $1,500 a month, free with added value that for with any other supplier in, I'd say, our country,
mhm,
that you would
mhm,
have to pay for as individual add-ons, and we
mhm,
just giving that's part of the
mhm.
product, that's part of the service, um, and everything for us. That's why we are IT shop as well. At the end of the day, is to give that extra.
How many
It's
times have I
not.
told you, let's just close the IT. Let's just go
Yeah,
on with the internet. And then you tell me, but what about those clients that depend on us and rely on us to fix the other side of the internet that
yeah,
slows the internet down, the slow computers, the antiviruses? And yeah, that's, I agree, 100%.
yeah.
Totally.
The total, the holistic everything. Do not worry, we can sort it out. And if we can't sort it out, I know somebody that can sort it out. In terms of, uh, we've organized aircons to be serviced. We've organized tires to be changed. We've driven KFC to office for the guys' workers. A client of ours whose staff was working overtime and they weren't available, and
The
quick phone
TechConnect
call.
way.
Yeah, we started Uber in Komati before there was Uber Eats. We were Uber Eats.
Man, I don't know anything about Ecos. Can't you just sort that out for me? Yeah, sure. We'll do it.
Yeah, I
Not a
know a
problem.
guy. I know a guy. But if you take that, that's why I say anybody and everybody somewhere should do some other sales course.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily the fact that you try to sell something, but it's the world works in a funny way where if I do good and if I honestly, if you look at uh, we should actually make backgrounds for us and have our board with the integrity and honesty and
Mm-hmm.
everything, our core
Mm-hmm.
values, backgrounds
Mm-hmm.
at the back, because that's what we try to strive by and live for. But if everything you do in life, if you really try to do good for others, and it's not that I'm going to do good and good and good and wait for something good to happen back to me. That's karma, and then you don't have to want anything back. But that's where a real sales technique comes in. Is listen, if you really help somebody and then sort out a problem, that person remembers it and they're grateful. And in some way or means or form, they will repay that favor
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So helping somebody, listen, I know a guy that can fix your aircon. Obviously, you have to trust the guy enough that he is going to bloody do a good job. But you helped somebody there. And I didn't make a cent. I made sure that a problem goes away. And in some way or form, that person is either going to send somebody as a potential client or in future be there to just give a ring and say, I've got an issue. Can you maybe help me? I've got a flat tire. Can you pick me up next to the road? But it's all about relationships, building relationships, and those relationships. Andy and Alex are friends. I mean, and they're very close to the same type of business. They're very, very close in
Yes.
terms of business.
Mm. Yes.
Um, and in a lot of ways, they should be full out competition.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's very interesting. Um, so just on a bit of a tangent, I'd like to give a shout out to our friends at Preseem, one of the value adds that we offer our clients. They wrote an article about TechConnect and featured us on their blog. So Preseem is just a piece of software that helps us to optimize our audio and video calls and our video on our network and prioritizes that and gives the quality of experience to the client so the internet feels faster because their movies don't buffer and their WhatsApp calls don't drop, etc. So they actually featured us on their blogs. Thank you for that. Gerrit and the guys out there, you guys are doing a fantastic job. And thanks for this fantastic product that you've given to TechConnect. Very few companies, I think, in South Africa is using it because it's expensive. I know a couple in America. There's 1,600 companies worldwide using
Yeah.
Preseem, and more of you guys should climb into that bandwagon. So we chatted about our kids going to varsity. I think we've got a consensus. I honestly think in South Africa, getting on the job experience is the most important thing to do. And I don't know if look, I chatted to one of our customer consultant ladies the other day who's in a second year studying
Be Ed.
she wants to be, what do you call it, a B.Ed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And she said, but the weirdest thing is all her friends are unemployed who's graduated. And then that's even weirder. I think 65% of graduates in South Africa is unemployed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. And so what I'm trying to do in TechConnect is literally develop training, on the job training and I think sometimes TechConnect's a bit bottom heavy in terms of people that we employ. We shouldn't really need to employ all these people, but if we can develop one or two of them and get them to rise through the ranks to like a B or a level executive in the company, then I think we would have done our job.
Oh yeah.
There's so many success stories, I think, that we can talk about people that we've helped. And look, something I have to mention, who's dear to my heart, is Numsi. The way that she's worked herself up in the company and she's killing it. But also this girl is fanatical. She She has 2 jobs. Every day she works for us, and at night she's a waitress. So she's really, really pulling herself up by the bootstrings and working to make a difference in her and her kids and her sister's life. So and we need more of these type of people. I don't know if you've had any comments on that.
No, you know what?
Training.
If you look at Numsi, Sandro's Matt, Frikkie, there's Samantha, where they started off and where they are now, it's there's no certificates and I've qualifications and listen, I've completed this and this and this and this, but the way I know the way that you mentor every single one of them in terms of life lessons. I mean, these conversations that two of us are having, that we're having now, most of this we have with them as well. And then we've got our Google-ish type of Friday meeting. And I mean, I honestly feel and I hope that they all look forward to the Friday meeting where you've got a nice story and the Clydesdale story and what did Andy say and what's Alex said, and I look forward to them in any case. But if I do believe every now and again something sticks with the staff, and I mean staff feel so. I don't actually like the word. I mean we really do try to build a family.
That's family.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So staff sounds so harsh, but if if we look at the
kids, it's my kids.
Yeah, and then if you look at how they've grown and where they are now, I mean Samantha's been working for us for 9 years, Frikkie 8, I think. David the full 9, and if you look at where they are now and where they all started, it's crazy. So there's definitely a difference that's being made, especially life lessons, and I really hope that wherever our futures go and their futures go, that they'll fondly remember these stories and life lessons and that stuff that never would have learned with an online course or with tertiary education. That's life experience. You can't buy that.
I agree with you. Okay, so let's wrap this up. It's been almost 40 minutes. Interesting. Time flies. Plans for the weekend. What are we going to do? Have you got plans? It's a rugby weekend.
Yeah, I've got a year-end function with my champion rugby side. We're having a nice braai. You invited.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
You're bringing Tabu.
Yeah, I'm not going to sleep in a tent though.
I have to keep promises. I made them some promises, set them some goals, and they exceeded the goals. So myself and Anis has to deliver on our promise. So they'll have a braai and a sleep out in the bush. And
are we gonna? Does Tabu need to bring his fishing rod?
Yes.
Okay.
And there'll be a big bonfire. And remember, my deal was they do not have a curfew. Yeah, they had to keep to the curfew when we slept over the night before the final. And the deal was if they keep to that curfew, they do not have a curfew for Friday.
Oh my word. Energizer bunnies.
Yeah. And then obviously Saturday, hoping the Boks can beat the All Blacks in New Zealand. And after that, we got local rugby, Komatipoort Rugby Club playing against AZView. Obviously, we'll be there as well. So a rugby crazy weekend again.
Okay, no, that's excellent. Meeting a guy for Deirdre's Wildlife Rehab Center that has some LoRa equipment he wants to show us. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think we're going to join you with the fishing and the bonfires and stuff. And then Saturday, have a rugby day. That's going to be excellent.
Awesome.
So, Nico, it was good chatting again. And
yeah, sorry I missed the previous one.
No worries. Enjoy the cold, my brother.
Yeah. Cheers, buddy. Go well.
And send love to the kids. Cheers, man.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.